Right then, back with episode, I think 29 of the Midnight Pod. We have Jack Bayliss, who I guess I was put in touch with via Isabella, who we were just speaking about. Context of that story will remain private. Who I met like 4 years ago via being in York, and then you went to York Uni.
Yes, I did. And
then you've got a pretty interesting story. We were just chatting for like 10 minutes prior, got into like the corporate world, I guess, and then escaped it via... Similar to the guys from Crep Sheaf, which you just told me you know, so it's a fucking small world. I feel like this whole entrepreneurial sphere is very small. And now you run a few different things.
Yes, a few different
aftermarket arbitrage, and then NFT Emporium.
And then I have shares in an Amazon-based group as well.
Oh, sick.
Yeah,
so a lot of different things. I guess, as usual, and we'll just chat into a load of different shit, as we always do. First question is just like... Basically, who are you? What do you do? Like, how did you get started? And I guess we'll go pretty chronological because it'd be interesting to go back to like childhood and then when you got started and shit.
Yeah, so I basically it all started for me when I used to work in a gym and I had a ton of spare time when I was in the gym. Like, I was supposed to be doing admin work, and then at the time, my girlfriend at the time like said to me that there was these new Yeezys coming out, and I knew nothing about them, and I ended up sitting on the queue whilst I was in work. I got through, and then like I managed to get them, and like my head completely fell off when I realised I could make like 300 quid on them, and I was like, that's the easiest money I've ever made in my life. And it was sort of from then that I took like the interest in trainers and reselling. That's where it all started. So we were in like the guys who you had on the last pod. When there's these cut groups where you get these communities of people who are all going after these trainers, like we were in like pretty much the original one, back when all these started, and so that's where it all sort of began. And then
when was this? Sorry, was this like 7 years ago?
This was probably about 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
So it was in between college and university for me.
Right.
Because I took a gap year in between college and uni and worked full time at a gym. But the gym made me want to go back into education.
Really?
Yeah.
So did you plan on being a PT first then, or what?
I wanted to do nutrition.
Right.
Yeah. So because I used to compete in natural bodybuilding, so like that was my life.
Sick.
Yeah.
I used to want to be a natural bodybuilder when I was like 17. I went through a phase of just eating like cottage cheese and shit.
So that was literally my life. Like I lived and breathed it. But like now my focus shifted from a plastic trophy to wanting to make money. That's sort of like what you, because it's so demanding, you like I couldn't do both. Because it was literally that was my life. So yeah, we sort of scaled up the shoe reselling on a personal level, and then I went to uni and just carried on doing that throughout uni. So supported myself through uni, didn't have to have a job. Never really had any financial issues. I was paying my mates, like everyone in my flat, I'd be like get them to enter stuff for me. If they won, I'd be paying them all. Like everyone was making money, everyone was happy. And then so like my like time at university, as I was saying to you earlier, like I did accounting and finance, and I was always wanted to go into investment banking. And then take a very structured route, end up on the buy side, do some like asset management, and then end up at a hedge fund. Like I always had like a very clear path.
Did you watch Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah,
like a lot of people, and think that world is as glamorous as it sounds. I went through a phase like that as well.
Yeah, I think pretty much every young lad does, don't they? Like it's natural. Like I was so focused on it, and so like I was saying to you earlier, when I did my internships at the hedge fund, my boss there said to me like, get a first, make sure you get a first. Like I had no social life at uni. In my final year I went out once. Like really? I was literally like grinding, like committed to getting this first, and which I got. And then like I'm glad that I worked as hard as I did at the time, like because it then led on to me like getting all my other opportunities and my other internships. But looking back on it now, I do think I missed out a lot, and like I was a bit tough on myself.
So did you decide you wanted to go into investment banking after having done the shoe reselling shit and just not seeing?
Yeah, so I was doing it.
Why didn't that ever take like?
Because and this is the thing, everyone around me at the time when I was shoe reselling, they were saying to me, why aren't you starting like Aftermarket, like, so they were saying, why haven't you, like, a company like Aftermarket, 3 years prior to me starting it, because they were all like, because I'd already told them about the group that I was in, and they're like, why don't you do your own, like set up on your own? But for me, it was like, I don't think I had that confidence, and that was something that I lacked. And I just like sort of kept my head down and just badgered on my own. But then I got to the point where I was like, I seen the success of the Crep Chief lads, like, and I knew them, like, and like, I was like, I can do this. Like,
are you from a similar place?
We literally lived down the road. Like, we grew up together.
Like school friends?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
I feel like it's always like this.
Yeah, like,
there's always like clusters
like,
of people that do end up doing similar shit.
My little brother is best mates with Milo. They grew up together. They've been like best friends since nursery.
Yeah.
Like,
that's mad.
my family's friends with their family. Like, it is. So yeah. Whereabouts are we up to? I can't remember.
Pursuing uni, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because you're obviously doing both.
Yeah. So I never really seen like the long term in that, and never really thought I could do anything with it. So because I'd always just done it on my own. Yeah. So sort of when them lads, the Crep Chief lads, came together as a group, I was just still on my own doing it, and that's sort of where like I didn't really think I could do anything with it. I think, and I was so like, I think I'd always been very focused on my education and taking that structured path. Like my family, like my uncle, he's Cambridge educated, extremely smart, and like I think from a young age I've always been like, it's always been drilled into me like that I've really got to nail my education.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we it was after I pretty much finished uni, started an internship, finished that internship, then had like a 6-week break before I started my full-time job, and it was in that 6-week break that I started Aftermarket. So like,
when was this? Like 2-3 years ago?
No, like, it literally like 18 months ago.
Oh shit!
Yeah. It was like yeah, it would be 18 months ago now. So I literally, like, the day that I started my job was the day that the website went live. So like they collided, and then yeah, like obviously lockdown hit, and for me that was like, it benefited the businesses tremendously, because everyone's at home, everyone wanted to make money, everyone had the furlough money coming in, more time on the hands, and then yeah, there was just so many more opportunities came up with obviously all the supply chain issues. So, and we were able to leverage that. And then, yeah, so it exploded. And then it got to the point where I was like working long hours. My bosses at my corporate job were like, I was seeing the hours that they were putting in, and I had a rough gauge on what they were earning for those hours. Like, I would get messages at like 3 a.m, and like, I was just like, I know what, like, I have an idea. I have an idea of what you're being paid, and you're having to work until 3 a.m. Like, it's just, the system's like so messed up how hard the guys in like M&A have to work. And it was just like, I don't want to sacrifice that. And when I kept putting my time into the businesses, seeing them grow, like when I told my bosses about Aftermarket, because I only told them like pretty much a month before I left, like their heads were like blown off, and they were like, how have you been here so long? Like, and they like said to me, like, they were really supportive of it. So they said to me, you go, like, if the business fails, you've got a job here, just pick up the phone. Like, so they've been really good about it. But yeah, it took a while for me to get to that point to be confident enough.
So when did you quit your job?
October. So
just gone?
Yeah.
Like 5 months ago?
Yeah. So I had to get, like, for me, I needed like a lot of reassurance. Like, I know, not reassurance and stuff. I seek advice from a lot of people. So I'd go back to where I interned at. I spoke to my managers there. They put me in touch with some guys in VC. These guys in VC then put me in touch with 2 lawyers that had just quit their full-time jobs as lawyers to launch their app, and like they walked me through the process and sort of like said they were pre-revenue and they just took the leap, and they were like, mate, you need to do it now. And then when I was speaking to like VC, they were like, if you want investment, we're not there's no chance we're going to invest in you if you work in a full-time job as well. Like, we need to see you fully committed to this. And that it was those sort of things that made me think, like, if I want to take this business like to the next level, I just need to jump now.
Yeah. So how did you you went through the whole of uni thinking that M&A, like corporate world, was what you really wanted to do.
Yeah. So
and even right up until the end of uni, you were convinced.
Yeah. So like, for me, like my whole life was structured.
Yeah. Were you doing any like reselling during uni at this point still?
Yeah. So I always resold. I'd say in my final year, probably in my final year, I pretty much dropped off, but I had enough money banked.
Yo, fellas, quick one. First bit of promo for the pod. You may or may not have heard, I released a fucking ecom course a few months ago. Basically spent like 6 months making it because I was in between businesses, as you probably know if you follow my shit. I must say, 12 hours long, it's fucking quality content. I was going to drop it at like 1,500 quid with some bullshit guru-y webinar and all that rubbish, but as you know, it's not my main thing. I'm working on a new brand right now, very, very fucking much in the trenches, which is why I think it's actually a better course than everything else out there, because it's built on real experience of my brands in the past and my current one. I think it's super, super valuable. If you're interested in ecom, you're already in ecom, and you want it to get into ecom, 0 to 1, starting a brand from scratch, then definitely worth investing in. Link is in the bio of this video, or podcast, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever the fuck you're listening or watching, and enjoy the rest of the pod.
From a reselling that like I didn't have to worry about working or anything like that. I was literally just fully committed to my studies in my final year.
And you went to York, Uni of York.
Yeah.
Why did you choose York for uni? I swear it's a good uni, but just a shit city.
So
because I went to Newcastle. This is
100% the truth. So I was supposed to do biological sciences. Like this is on the background of the nutrition or something. Like I was interested in that. Sorry, I got accepted there, but I decided like prior to getting my results that I wasn't going to go if I got accepted, because I just didn't want to go into that field anymore. So I was in New York at the time. My girlfriend had to give me my results, so she's like, "You've got this." So then I rang up like clearing. I sat on my phone with my mum and dad, and I literally picked the course that had the best name. So I seen like accounting, business, finance, and management. I was like, that sounds fancy. That is literally how I picked it. Like I was like. And yeah, we just went from there.
And is that because you knew you wanted to go into that world, or you just?
I've always wanted to go into business. Right, so like, I've got like, I said, so my uncle is really successful. He was a consultant. One of my other uncles is an MD. Like, he's been MD at some big firms, and like, I've always been surrounded by that sort of corporate world. Yeah. Like my dad's in the same position. It's like it was sort of like natural for me. But the accounting, like, it was horrific, and that's like that's part of the reason that I had to leave my other job as well. It's just too time consuming.
Yeah. So getting started with the business, obviously 6 weeks before you started that job. Yeah. Did you know anything about how to start like an online business? Because obviously
absolutely nothing.
Was it literally just like literally?
I knew what like. From being in that original group at the start, I knew what needed to be in there. I knew I had all the contacts to get all of the software that I needed. I'd sort of built relationships in years and years. Yeah. So I knew that everything was in place if I wanted to make this happen. So I wrote like an ebook, like covered everything that I've ever learned. Like, and then we put that in the group. That was like the first thing we did. And then we just took it from there and literally just adapted as we went. Like when we started, like looking back on it now, it was probably a bit of a shambles, but you've got to start somewhere, haven't you? And now we've got 100%. It to a point where it's runs like clockwork.
And at the start then, after that 6 weeks, like how legit of a business was it when you launched it? Like did you get customers quickly or what? Was it more of a slow grind?
No, it was slow at first. So like on launch day, I'd done so much, I put so much work into it, and it was my brother's birthday. We went out for his birthday meal, and I got one sign up like to the business, and I was just sat there with a face like slapped ass. I was like, I failed, like I've put this money into it, and I was just like, I can't believe it, like I've wasted so much time. But then I just felt like I just need to keep going, and everyone around me was saying that at the time, like just don't let your head go. And it started picking up pace, and then as we got to, so launched it in beginning of August, and then it started picking up pace around about December.
And this is on a monthly subscription,
yeah,
similar to Crep Chief.
Yeah. And then it coming into like December, January, February, it just exploded.
Yeah. And how were you getting customers at the start? And how did that change?
I hired a guy before the company actually launched, I just spoke to him about the idea. It's called Food Review Club, and like he literally just goes around to takeaway places around the country.
I swear I've seen that, but
probably
I don't know if it's the same
him.
guy. It's like some really fat guy.
Yeah, it was probably him. Yeah.
Fucking hell, yeah, it's funny.
So like because I wanted to target the general public, so I wanted to go for people that had no idea what reselling was, and I wanted to be that training ground for them, because there's already an area of Twitter of really experienced people in the sneaker game, but the culture is so toxic. Like if a beginner comes in and asks a question, they'll get laughed at. I wanted to be the solution to that and bring newcomers in and then be the stepping stone. So I thought, right, let's go for someone who I know is good on camera, can sell, but he's got an audience that are engaged with him and will believe and trust in him, but aren't aware of reselling probably whatsoever. And it just like the first like couple of promotions didn't work, didn't do anything, but the more he kept laying it on, it got to a point, and then that just exploded with everything. It was like the perfect storm.
So it's just influencer marketing basically, to start with.
Yeah, and then
that is a niche choice to do some food review, but it probably makes sense.
Yeah.
His
like
audience.
there was reasoning behind it, so then now we've gone into, so we work with Tom Skinner from The Apprentice, because he's just a character, like he's brilliant, and he does great for us, and we work with a few car guys as well, and
do you do any paid social?
Yeah,
like Facebook ads as well.
Yeah, like that's something that I want to I want to understand that better myself, because we're paying a lot of money to like agencies at the moment, and I don't even know what I'm getting from my money, if that makes sense. Like I don't see the return on investment, and it's getting to a point where it's like I want to understand this myself so I can do something about it. Yeah, because I don't like. We've been through like three agencies now. Yeah, I went through 7 over 2 years, and like none of like the one we've got now is good, but the previous ones, like they just like it was just false promises, but we can do X, Y, Z, and just none of it came off. And then like I've lost so much money on ads, like paying these like I think our first one, our second one we worked with. So for clarity now, we pay like the company $3,000 a month now to manage them, but the company beforehand we were paying them like $7,000 a month, and they did nothing. Like, and I was like, and I'm just like, I've wasted so much money on it. But I guess it's learning, isn't it? Yeah. And how quickly did you think? Like, was there a point where you thought I probably could quit my job? Before you actually did? Like, yeah. Like when the revenue of the business got to about $4,000 a month, and I was like, so we're doing over 40k a year now. Like at that point, our margins were ridiculous. Like if I'd probably say like when we was doing $4,000 a month, like it was probably costing under $1,000 to run. Yeah. And then as we were scaling it, like it got to a point where, let's say, I think when we were at 10,000 revenue, it was $2,000 to run. Yeah. So it was like, because margins always shrink. And then now it's tough for us. But we, I think it was at the point when and I said this to my boss at work, like when I was earning I could pay myself my daily wage from my company, what I would earn in a month there. Yeah. And that was like the point where I was like, I can't be wasting more time on my corporate job when I've got this opportunity in front of me that's paying me so much more, that needs my attention. Yeah. And then that's from there, like, so the guys that I run the NFT group with now, they were initially members of my group, then employees, then we're all mates, and like now we started a company together. So you've got the NFT Emporium, that's what it's called, right? Yeah, as well. Yeah. And there's something else, I know. Yeah, so there is another one called Resale Concierge. Yeah, that's one that I helped the start up of that, but I don't have any sort of influence on the day-to-day running of that. I literally just helped it from the ground up, and then I just take my kickback. Yeah. Right, so obviously scaling the business while working a corporate job that I guess a lot of people would say is like fucking really good job, like classic path, I suppose. Yeah.
why did you? Because I never went down like the whole. I never got sucked into like the corporate world because I don't know. I guess I just like figured out what I was doing while I was in uni, then dropped out, and that was just my path.
Yeah.
But it seems very different to go from wanting to be like I guess a big time like corporate player in that space to then being like
my end goal was
properly entrepreneurial.
Yeah, like my end goal was to like be a partner at a hedge fund. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
But so I think it was for me. A lot of it came from like the partner at the hedge fund that I interned at, when he like recognized me and like sort of like accepted me. That like I then idolized him, and I was like, I need to like do everything I can to make sure I impress this guy, like, because I want to be back there. Because like he said to me, he said one day you're gonna be hiring my son, and like that, like I was like, fuck, like if he's
like dynasty.
Yeah, like if he's saying that to me, like it meant so much to me at the time, because like when I was trying to get internships, I said I got that through networking. I applied for like over 100 internships. Like I was nailing them, and I got nowhere. Like, and obviously getting that, and then being appreciated by someone who's in one of the most prestigious firms in the UK was like massive for me. And then I think that's where the tunnel vision came from. And it was sort of like, I know that I can earn upwards of, I could be earning like $750,000, like up to $1 million, and then if you're at a hedge fund, and then you obviously take your management fee and stuff like that, it sort of becomes millions and millions. But now I know what it's like to get to that point. And I realise as well that was never for me. Like the guys that are going to get them jobs are way more academic than me. Like I'm not that numerate, brainy guy. I'd rather like build something and just work hard at it. Like it's like, for me, stuff has never come easy. Like I've never picked something up and like been just been fluid with it. I have to work for everything, and that's why I feel like why I work well with these businesses, because I'm willing to put time in from the ground up and just wait until I will make sure that it keeps growing.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Like, I'm probably gonna go off on a fucking tangent here. So I was at this like house party last night, which was like, it was called like an entrepreneur's house party, and I was like, whatever, like I knew the sort of people that'd be there before I went there, and I'm not going to call out any names, but there's a bunch of like VCs and like, in other words, like a bunch of people my age that are investors but have never built businesses and aren't entrepreneurs, but think they're a big fish because they're spending other people's money. Like one of those, kind of similar to the whole like city vibe. Like, I put a tweet out as well, like maybe I'm just bitter because like it's never been my thing, but like what did I say, like you walk around like Mayfair or whatever, like Berkeley Square, and like, I'll just be wearing like this outfit, and then you get some cunt in like a suit. Full suit. You know they think they're better than you. 100%. But you know that they're a corporate slave, and I can go to Brazil tomorrow and do my own thing. Do you know what I mean? So like, it's so different. It's a different way of viewing the world. Yeah, and like that. And it is a different skill set as well, though, like you were saying. I think some people love to. I'm probably gonna get fucking cancelled for like calling out corporate culture, but like they think that like that is everything because they can make money. But like the way I've always thought about it is there's like 3 pillars to like how you get paid. It's like money, location, freedom, and like enjoyment, I guess. So like I always thought, well, I'd rather get paid. I would rather hypothetically make $100,000 on a laptop doing something I love, that's creative or whatever, than $1 million in an 18-hour-a-day desk job where I have to be in the 100%. City for 40 years until I'm 50 or 60. Do you know what I mean? And that's not even close. And the irony is I could probably make way more money anyway building a business that I'm passionate about, which is what I'm in the process of doing now anyway. But it's just most people, because of like school, university, fucking media conditioning, like genuinely, without being too conspiracy theory, like they just don't see it that way.
No, and exactly, like I was, if it wasn't for like the thing is, if it wasn't, I love like the idea of the ripple effect, like where if I wouldn't have got that pair of trainers on that day. Like, so when I got that first pair of trainers, I had no money in my bank. My mum and dad had to transfer me money. Like that, so many things could have gone wrong with that transaction, and it all just fell into place, and that changed my life. Like, and it's now like if I hadn't done that, I would probably be in that position of just being stuck in the 9 to 5.
Yeah, it's mad. There's so many. The whole like
it's
butterfly
literally
effect.
It's that one transaction 7 years ago has completely changed.
Because that gave you like the little spark of I can do my own thing.
Yeah, I found out how much money you could make in shoes. Like, I had no interest. Like, I didn't even know it was a thing, and it's like, yeah, it's like but I love reflecting on stuff like that. Like that's when it gets a bit. I spend
way too much time reflecting on like every element of my life. Yeah, it gets all deep. It's like a fucking movie scene in my head every time.
Yeah,
but yeah, fuck, we're only 25 minutes in, so I'm going to bring it back to like normal shit before I go too deep. Coming back to scaling the business then, like it was literally you working, I guess, in evenings, weekends, whatever, alongside your job to start with. Did you like scale a team around that eventually, or
so
like, how did you
basically the setup was I launched at the start. I luckily got given a Twitter that was in that field with like 3,000 followers. So I put up a post to like an application form to work for us, and this was before we started. And I basically hired a load of students at the time, and they were all really passionate about trainers. So they came in at the start, and they like a lot of them are still with us today. We've only had 2 people leave since we've been running, so like we've had low churn. But for me, like my routine became start work at probably around about 8:30. I'd work until about 6. I'd then study for my ACA from 6 till like 9, and then I would work on aftermarket from say like 9 till 11 or 9 till midnight. Like, so then I got to a point where I was like getting in a rut because I had no life. Like the gym fell off, relationship fell off. Like I was like just work. Yeah. And then that's when it was like, so that's when I then like I was making decent money, but I knew that I had to hire more people. So my brother now works for me full time, and we've now got a team of around about 15 who expanded to run the day to day. So it's now at the point where I generally could get away with not looking at the Discord all day.
Yeah. Is it fully remote? Do you have an office?
It's fully remote, but the apartment I'm moving into with my brother has like the top floor is an office, so we're going to start bringing some of the lads in there.
Yeah, sick. And how do you see, like, obviously I don't want to reference the previous episode too much because it's similar to Crep Chief, but like, how do you see, what do you think the vision is for a business model like this? Okay. Is it just to, I guess, obviously, ultimately it's a SaaS business, right?
Yeah.
Software as a service. Do you think there's like, is there a ceiling in terms of how many people you can get because of the way it works, like being reselling? Because I know the previous guys mentioned that.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, there is a bit of there's got to be a ceiling because like we can see it with the larger groups, like the damage that can be caused to the reselling market, where like if you let 10,000 people loose at a product, the price is just going to fall through the floor. Whereas if like 1,000 people were controlling the price of that product, it would be hiked up. Like it's like it does get to a point. But for me, I want to take aftermarket and make it more of like also like a lifestyle brand. Like I don't want to just be benefiting people financially.
Yeah.
So I want to start working on like mental health, like bringing in entrepreneurs to do talks, motivational talking. Sort of like business coaching. Like we want to sort of bring people more value than just financial gain.
Yeah.
So that we can assist them in other parts of the life. Because like it gets to a point where we can provide every flip that's out there right now, but then how do you differentiate yourself from the other groups that are also providing every other flip? Like because pretty much every group's doing the same. Like there's
your charge the same as well.
Similar, yeah. Like it's like it is what it is. But it's like little things like this where I want to bring in more value than just financial. And like we've had a good response so far in terms of people wanting to see this, like because a lot of people who do want to start their own businesses or want to scale, they want that initial support.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something we're looking into.
Do you think it's a business that ultimately you could sell and get an exit from?
Yeah. So when I was speaking,
have you ever thought about that?
Yeah. When I was speaking with VC, they put like a valuation on it, and I've worked. So my accountant also does like a lot of corporate financing stuff. Like he assists in like M&A, and he's put a value on it as well. Like, and if someone, and like for me working in M&A, I knew what multiples of revenue. I knew exactly. I got to a point where I was like, I know what my company's worth now, and like, and then I'd heard it off these guys as well. Like the VC, when the VC guy like pretty much said to me the same as what I'd been thinking, like I was like it was mind blowing, because I like to go from, so it was a £2,000 it cost me initially to start it, and so it went from like a £2,000 investment to like a 7-figure valuation within 8-9 months. Like, and for me that was huge. Like that was something that was like, and like, 'cause I never thought that was going to happen. Like I thought aftermarket would be something that I'd make money from for a few months and then I'd just close it, and now it's a different beast. But yeah, like I don't think right now I wouldn't sell, but I'm interested in hearing valuations of it, and what and seeing, because for me it's like it'd be interesting to see who's actually in the market to take over a company like this, because for me the only other people is like, let's say Crep Chief would just acquire us or acquire another company. Like so I've got approached by a group with 200 members to buy them last week, but it doesn't make any sense. Like they want me to buy the company but to keep them separate, like not merge. So I'm not going ahead with it. But it's sort of like the only other people are like, I don't think anyone from a VC realistically would come into the space, like, because there's no one in it. It's like it's only the bigger players, and like the Crep Chief guys are the biggest in the game. So it's like, it's sort of like,
they're bigger than you.
Yeah. Like they would.
How much bigger? Do you know?
I reckon they're about 2.5 times bigger.
Yeah.
But there's 5 of them, one of me. 4 or 5.
Yeah, I've always thought that I've always been a solo founder, because I've always thought, why would I want to split the fucking pie with 5 people or 2 people? But I guess everyone's different. Has there ever been, like, I'm chopping and changing between topics here, but has there ever been like, has there been any like beef, being the fact that you come from like this same place and shit, and you're in a similar?
Yeah, like they know like about this. Like,
who started first?
They started first.
Yeah.
So like there was a lot of like, and I was literally speaking to Will about this last night when we were out together. Like I was devastated when I found out they'd set up a group and like I wasn't involved in it, because me and Will started reselling together, and then Milo got on board, then Brad and Tom and everyone. Resale
mafia.
Yeah, literally like, everyone just started getting on it. And then I went to uni, and that's sort of like when I became distanced from them. And then, but I was still reselling, I still talked to them all the time, but then like they never told me. So this is like a funny story. So like they never told me about the group, and I got like linked to it on Twitter. Like someone messaged me, said, "What's this?" I was like, "I don't know." And then I went onto Discord, and like Milo had spelt his name backwards, so it was Olim instead of Milo. And he's like, he confessed it to me in Santa Fe. He was like, "Yeah, the only reason I did that was so that you wouldn't realise it was me." Like, and I was just like,
Olim,
yeah. So it's like the walls, like, and it did hit me hard, that, because we'd all started together. The original group, so it was called One Stop Cop. That was the original one. I brought that to them, and then like I was like, we've all been in this together, why am I not including this? And it was like, but I get it, because they were all seeing each other on a daily basis. I was at uni, stuff was different.
Yeah, you copped out.
Yeah,
you pussied out this entrepreneurial lifestyle. Went to uni.
Literally,
you chose the green pill or whatever it's called.
Yeah. Go on.
Do you think having, obviously, like, I guess a proper education, but more importantly, like, experience in the corporate world, particularly in the shit you were doing, do you think that helped you set up the business, or do you think it's a completely different skill set? The
thing that I think that it's helped me with the most is actually being able to deal with people, like, and sort of handle basic customer service. Like the way that like some of like the young people that I come across who've had no experience in like working a proper job, and all they've done is reselling, their like actual like manners and way of speaking to other people is appalling. And like it's like if you ever have to not once, if you ever have to step into the real world, like you're gonna have a shock because you're not gonna be able to speak to people like the way you do. Like it's like constant beefing, like keyboard warrior stuff. And like it's like so I had a conversation with someone the other day, and so they filed a charge back against me, and that's like really damaging for our business. Like
I've dealt with literally 7 figures in chargebacks in 2020.
Yeah, and I literally, because I knew the guy, so I asked him why, and he just went in on me saying like, "You're a pussy," and I was like, "What do you mean? I've asked you a question. Like, why? Like, some of these people that you come across, like, they just don't know how to interact, and they don't know how to have a mature conversation, and that's
Probably
what I've learned.
The majority of the country, to be honest.
And that's what I feel like.
Even people that are in the real world.
Yeah, that's like what I feel like for me. What I've learned is being able to approach anyone, and because for me as an owner, I'm like liked by pretty much every other group owner, and like for example, the Crep Chief lads are hated by a lot of other groups. I'm in a good position with everyone because I feel like I've always kept good relationships, and that's what I feel like the corporate like sort of life told me.
Yeah, don't burn bridges. And all
Yeah,
that sort of shit.
yeah. Because that's like the most important one. Don't burn bridges. Like that's something.
Yeah, I actually was speaking to a mate in Brazil about this last week, and it was like a half an hour conversation. I mean, it's so true. Like I would make the effort not to burn bridges, even if I thought someone was complete cunt. Yeah, because it doesn't look well on you.
You don't, and like this is like.
And I know people that have burnt bridges. Someone that was actually on this podcast, it's fucking an early episode. Yeah, he basically cut off all his mates over nothing, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're really gonna regret this.
Yeah.
Because you can't go back on that shit.
No.
People, yeah.
It's like, and that's it. You never ever know when something's gonna come in handy. Like, there's and the most like for me, like feeling like I'd failed trying to get an internship and then managing to find it from someone at the gym. Like the most unexpected time, I just returned back from uni to train at the gym, and then one of my old friends from working there managed to plug me with a hedge fund job. Like it's stuff like that you've got to maintain. Like you can't ever think you're better than someone and detach yourself from like where you come from.
Yeah, so true. Like I always say that you can lose all the money in the world, but if you got a good network and experience, probably most importantly good network from experience, then it's fucking like you're fine.
Yeah. And if you've got that in place, like I'd also believe that if you'd lost all your money, if you've got that in place, you're on the right path to getting it all back again.
Exactly. That's kind of what's happened with me. I lost a load of money, but fucking you don't lose the connections you have and the experience you have, and then you do it again, and it's 5 times easier. Yeah.
So how like did you deal with that? Because for me, I'm very, very worried about. So as quick as aftermarket grew, I'm worried about it crashing just as quick, and it's something that plays on my mind all the time. Like as the business has been struggling the past month, and like.
Yeah, I think the start of 2022 has been bad for a lot of
like
online businesses.
We're getting hit. The NFT groups, every single in our sector has been hit hard, and it's sort of like for me, it's like it's a bit like what's going to happen here. And
I find this such an interesting topic. So yeah, like sorry, I cut you off.
No, go on.
Your question is how did I deal with that? Yeah, I kind of discussed this broadly like on a few pods. But like for me, it's always just been like I could be like, I mean, what am I trying to say? I guess I've genuinely never been worried that I won't work it out. Yeah, I genuinely mean that from the core of my being, because I know that I'm good enough. Yeah, I think that's key. I'm not deluded. I know I'm good enough. I know people around me are on a certain level as well, and I know that I'm fucking like a sicko cunt if I want to be. Like, get it done. Like I've always, that's just a mindset. Like, and like I felt very close to like losing everything when fucking like this time last year, like a bit before. But I knew I'd work it out, and I did work it out ultimately. and like made the very best of it. I made pretty good out of a very shit situation.
Yeah.
But
I think,
like I guess it was humbling because I went from feeling like I was on top of the world and like everything was perfect to ultimately what I would say is like rock bottom really for a few months. But then I now feel way stronger.
Yeah.
Which is such a cliche and shit, but like I know a lot more about the certain sides of business and way more experienced.
Yeah.
I reckon I know more than any Dom that's got an MBA, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, like because I dealt with all these funds and shit, like
and
lawyers and a lot of problematic side of stuff.
You've done it all. You've not studied it all. Like you've
exactly.
Like you've experienced it firsthand. And when like if these businesses are solely owned by you, that pressure's all on you. Like
so that's why I went down a different route with this next business. Yeah. So now I raised a bunch of funding for this.
Yeah.
But then that was mainly because I just didn't want to do it myself again.
Yeah.
But again, I've got a mad network, and like some of the investors are crazy. Like they've built literally unicorn businesses, but that network's come from the compound effect of other shit I've done. So like even the bad stuff that happened,
it still ended up
actually got me certain things that I met certain people through that I wouldn't have met if shit hadn't gone bad.
Yeah, the end result has been positive. Like from
I feel like if you ultimately, and it comes back to what we were saying before, like if you ultimately try and do the best you can in any situation, and keep like a moral compass, then usually it'll come good. I think. Yeah. As long as you fucking like face the music when shit goes wrong.
So like just out of interest.
So
out of interest, so on the topic of moral compass, so like we get absolutely railroaded in our industry for what we do. Yeah. What do you think about it? Like because
I can see why, because not that I agree with it, but I imagine it's the whole. I think there's two sides to it. I'm going to sound controversial here. Yeah. I think the market that you're selling to is it's a I guess a lower portion of kind of the market in terms of like lower income jobs, that sort of stuff. And I think there's a correlation between that and people that like to talk shit online.
Yes.
Because I experienced it when Neon Beach went wrong. It was only people that were from certain walks of life that would fucking make these threats online, because anyone else knows that that's not how you deal with the problem. Like keyboard warriors genuinely have similar backgrounds and shit is what I'm trying to say. So I think that's the first one, but I guess it falls into that. Does it fall into like kind of the whole guru category, which people hate, like teaching people how to make money?
Money online. No, like literally the only hate.
Or does the hate come from
consoles,
like bots and shit?
Yeah, but even like when we were just doing sneakers, we got no hate. It was sort of accepted. It's this console thing that has just ripped it all apart. And
parents saying their kids couldn't get
PS5. And like, and this is it. So like for me, I've experienced it now where Sky came to me and said, "We've written an article and we want your opinion on it." Like, and so I was like, right, okay, give them my opinion. Like, and they said like, blah blah, and then he went right. It was the next day actually. He said the article's live, and I looked. There was no other story. The whole thing was just what I'd been talking about. He'd plastered my name everywhere and my company, and I'd never given permission to use my name.
In a bad way?
Yes, horrendous.
Saying it was like a scam?
Literally just like, when the guy was interviewing me, I got off and like my mum was like, how did it go? And I was like, it wasn't good that. I could tell he had like, the interviewer he was passionate in a way that he hated what I was doing. Yeah. Like he already came into that closed-minded, and he then portrayed it horrendously. It then got picked up by every other news outlet. It did the rounds, loads of death threats, blah blah blah. Yeah, it then quieted down.
Been there. Yeah, it makes me feel better that other people have been there.
It quieted down. It picked up again. It went round even worse. But then, like, we were getting people from Russia. Like, this was a couple of weeks ago. We were getting people from Russia, like Taiwan, Singapore, France, joining aftermarket, like everywhere. And I was like, what is happening with this? It's crazy. And then, but these are all negative stories, like making me out to be like the devil. And then the BBC aired a documentary last night on us, showing the flip side of the coin.
Just specifically on you or the whole market?
Me and aftermarket.
On BBC?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
And it's a good watch, to be fair. I'll show you it later. But they show the flip side of the coin, because so I'd filmed with the BBC before the Sky News article dropped, and then when he seen what happened and what they'd done, he was like, I know that you're not this bad person. So he was like, right, we're gonna work to actually show the flip side of the coin. So then they got members, like people's lives that we changed, like people that are doing reselling to keep a roof over their head, and like to show that it's not just greedy kids. People are doing this for legit reasons, and it's sort of provided that contrast. And yeah, like it's come like again today, I've been flooded with death threats again, like, but it's just like, if you've got time to sit at your laptop and write out a death threat to me, like, go and buy something else, be productive, do something else.
Yeah, like I've said it so many times, it's the truest thing ever. Like, no one that's written hate online ever has done anything with their life. Ever.
No, like, because I don't feel like,
not even like a small thing. I've never written hate online.
I've never felt
like I'm doing something in my life.
I've never ever felt the need to go into someone's like Instagram comments or anything and just like railroad them. Like, to me, it doesn't add up.
Nah, you should feel sorry for people like that. Like, yeah, it's fucking mad. The whole, like, I think anything at scale online just attracts some sort of hate, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because the whole keyboard warrior nature, like, because it's online, people feel anonymous. And
it's the same thing with, like, I even watch it with, like for example, Food Review Club we work with. He doesn't even, he literally provides free videos online reviewing food, and the amount of hate that he gets, like, it's like, it's not even necessary. What? There's no need for it. I don't get it. But
yeah, I think it's because ultimately a lot of people live very sad lives, and their outlet is hating on people that are doing stuff that they never had the balls to do.
Yeah,
that really is it.
Yeah, and that's like, so this for me, like touch on this. This is like, and I say it to my mates all the time, and it probably winds them up. But my uncle said it to me, and it literally stuck with me, and it changed, it changed my life. So my uncle said to me, like, it's not a dress rehearsal. And like, when I heard that, like, I was like, I've only got one shot at this life. Like, I want to make sure that I have the best life possible, and like, I will do whatever I can to make sure that I have a good life, but my family have a good life. I want my kids to be supported, and then my grandkids to, like, I want like generational wealth. Like, I want everyone to be looked after. It's like, at the end of the day, like, if you got one shot, why not do absolutely everything you can, take up every opportunity? Yeah. And it's like, that for me is like, it's so motivating, and I don't understand, like, for me, like, it doesn't add up when people are just happy, like, do you know, like, staying static in one place. I get that the security, but it just doesn't make sense to me, like, with my personality.
Yeah, I completely agree, but that's because you're wired different if you're an entrepreneur. Like, everyone that watches this podcast, like, it's just a fact. Like, the whole 99%, 1%, whatever, like, cliche, but and there's no better or worse, but it is a different way of viewing the world, and it ultimately comes down to a create over consume mindset. And I always say that, like, it's on the fucking midnight.co website, create over consume, but it's so true. Like, if you're not, like, ultimately a good barometer of, like, I don't know, if you're just doing cool shit, I think it's like, if you're making more than you're consuming, to, like, make a podcast instead of watch Love Island. The dog's crying. Something like that. And, like, I just think most people aren't wired that way, or they've been conditioned to believe they aren't that way, and probably a combination of both. And I guess when it's like, if someone's happy just doing nothing, that's fine, there's no problem with that. But when they start hating online, that's a different ballgame. It's sad to see.
And start projecting that hate onto people that actually are doing something. Like, that's.
And then I think you probably get people that stop doing the thing in the early stages because they got hate or something.
Oh yeah.
So I used to get hate for putting YouTube music videos out when I was 17 on YouTube, and like, whatever, and like, I actually stopped doing them. That wasn't my career path anyway, but in the end,
but it's kind of deep. It's the point, isn't it?
Because until you've got any experience or something like that might throw you off a path that could have been interesting. It's such a shame, but
I feel like that's like, it's a massive one, that with YouTube, and it, like, anyone who's starting YouTube at the start, I'm pretty sure everyone gets railroaded.
Just content of any kind.
Yeah,
it's actually so true. But, like, literally every single thing ever starts from nothing. That's the thing. I think you have to remember. Like, every business, every celebrity, sports person, whatever it is. Like, if you don't make the first move, whether that's like buying a domain name, fucking, like, with me doing this first episode, I was probably shitting myself. If you don't do it, you'll never know. if you don't do it, it will never become anything. And that goes like even like as far as like speaking to a girl that you like.
Yeah, literally.
Like actually though, like because I completely agree with the like it's not a dress rehearsal thing. Like I've started getting to that point now. Where it's like if you don't ask, you won't get with anything.
Yeah, like, I've learned it.
It's just not going to happen.
No, yeah, and that's it. Like you've got to like test it, and you've got to see what you can do. Like there's no time to. There's literally no time to waste. Like just don't wait. Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's so true, so true. Coming back to the business end quickly.
Yeah.
How was that? And we touched on it briefly before we started recording. Like, what was it like when you quit then? Because obviously, like I said before, I never went into the corporate world. So you had quite a big contrast, I guess, from having that structure to having, I guess, no structure apart from the structure you give yourself.
Yep. So
what was that like?
For me, I still 100% struggle with that today. It's something that I'm getting better with, but because I was conditioned from uni and working so many hours, like just studying, to then going into my job and doing, like literally like I said, I was doing with my, let's say 8 to 11. Like I was working all the time, and then going into a job where it's like I'm actually free now, like.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
It's like, so for me, like, and this is like, I speak to my friends about it all the time because I struggle with it, because if I'm not constantly busy, and this is a reason I want to go into investment banking, because I knew that I'd be essentially work like a dog.
Yeah.
I knew that I'd be like made to work, because if I'm not busy all the time, my mind starts going like, and I want to be busy. I want to be doing something productive.
Yeah, agreed.
And for me, it was then, now I'm at the point where I'm constantly second guessing things, because we've got I've got another company as well, but let's say 4 companies set up now, and it's like they all pretty much run themselves, and it's sort of like, now what do I do? Like I find myself like it's like I do what I need to do every day, but then I find that I've got more hours left where, to me, I should be working because I've been conditioned to be that way. And I do want to be working, but it's just finding what I should be working on, and that's where I need to improve now 100%. Like I need to know where to allocate my time better, but I guess like from only running a company for, let's say, 18 months, like that's going to come with time where I'm going to have to learn. Because it's like, with like, let's say aftermarket, it's only ever been good times until right now. Now's the bad time. So it's now where we need to learn how to deal with it. And
why is it a bad time now? In
terms of cancellations skyrocketing and member acquisition cost.
Yeah.
Is member acquisition cost going up. So like we were at a point like in lockdown, and we were doing like, let's say anywhere from 20 to 40 sign-ups a day. And we were getting like maybe 1 or 2 cancels a day. And at the moment we're getting, let's say 5 to 15 cancels a day, and then on average 3 sign-ups a day. Like it's declining. But then like we had the BBC today, so we've been absolutely flooded today. Today's been probably one of the best days ever.
Yeah.
But like we can't rely on that. Like that's gonna go. That effect is gonna wash away. So it's, for me, I have to find, how do we post lockdown, like when everything does eventually get back to normal, like I have to, with this extra freedom that I've earned from leaving my corporate job, like I need to know how to utilize that to make these sign-ups consistent, and then also bring our cancellations down to a point where we're steadily growing, we're not falling again.
Yeah, I think lockdown, I mean, it was definitely a boom for, it was the same with me in 2020. I had like my best months ever in the middle of 2020.
Yeah.
And then had issues, but and then 2021 was harder for a lot of brands as well. But I think you just pivot, don't you? Pivot and work it out. Like at the end of the day, I never get that stressed by like, I mean, I don't watch the news anyway, because there's a lot of negative propaganda, but I never get that stressed by like world events and shit, because ultimately like every business and person is experiencing the same thing. Granted, they're different foundations and different starting points, but like I feel like ultimately if you just focus on the fundamentals of having a good product and like good service, and just feel like it works itself
Yeah,
out
yeah.
ultimately. Like there's obviously ups and downs, but
So have you ever found yourself at a point where like, so obviously you've had your success, like, and you've still got it, but have you found yourself like where you've got too much free time, you don't know what to do with it? Because this is what I'm struggling with. Like,
I probably felt that in like mid 2020 when everything was probably like the peak it's ever been in terms of like numbers, and I had a lot of people working for me and shit felt very smooth. but I guess it's like when it rains it pours, for good and bad. I think life's very much seasons, and then it felt like it fucking poured negatively for like 12 months, and then like I was dealing with loads of issues, and I guess now I'm busy because I've been past few months been working on this next thing, I didn't feel that busy for a while because there's only so much I could do, and now it's like 2 weeks out of launching and I felt really busy again. I don't know, so I guess yes, but there's always something to like, I suppose what maybe comes with experience is the things I would think about now when shit is going well is like planning for when it's not going to be going so well, and because it's always going to be ups and downs.
So for us with aftermarket, what we've done now is we've now launched Amazon as like a section. So Amazon for us is consistent sales. Like you can walk into any supermarket around here, pick up a load of stuff, sell on Amazon, pretty much make a 30% ROI. Like it's pretty crazy, and that's like steady. It's every day of the year you can go do it. So like we're now that's the next venture. Like for us, like that's what I'm trying to do to keep myself busy, like to focus on building that, progressing that, because that hopefully will future-proof us once the consoles and everything else go away, because they're not going to last forever.
Yeah, I think there's always something to, it probably comes down to like if you enjoy the business as well, because like there's always something to build in it. Like I feel like if you're a true like entrepreneur and you're not just in it for like short-term money, which by the way I think most people, at least in like the online sphere, probably are. They're like chasing short-term cash, and I know a lot of those people, they're not really building anything. But like if you are building something legit that you're passionate about, then I think there's always something to do, because it's just what you do, innit? Like there's always something to work on, like the next thing, whether that's the next bit of content, like the next product release, something.
You find it.
And like there's always I guess it's like a carrot on a stick or whatever, like there's always a goal that's fucking moving, and you'll probably never get there, because when you get there there's a new one. But yeah, I think it comes with experience, I suppose, and like maybe age, and because I just think now I'd be way more prepared for knowing that when shit's going really well, it's probably not going to go really well forever. Even if that's like your personal life or because I mean
no, it definitely happens, because I've experienced it
to bottom, and now I feel like I'm on the up again, where things are actually aligned quite well, and I feel like excited again. But I went through a long time of thinking, fuck, like have I lost like have I peaked already? Now it's like, nah, I definitely haven't. I've just had a taste of certain stuff.
See that, because like that's been my exact worry as well. Like it's that in some obviously like some people wouldn't class it as success, but some people would, like success at an early age. Like it's like I feel like if this all crashed and burned, like I don't know, like it would hit me so hard, like I don't know what I'd do with myself, like. But I guess that's where it falls, that like you get to a point where you will not let it crash and burn. Like you will keep working no matter what to make sure that the business will survive. Like, or you then switch on to the next thing that you know is going to work.
You pivot. Because that's the thing. Like you don't lose. You don't lose.
Because that's not going to go, is it? I get that. Like
you've always got more context than you had before. Because it's like, at the end of the day, like if everything did crash and burn, what would you do tomorrow? Start again. That's what I'd do.
Yes.
And that's what I did.
Yeah.
Basically. It's like, obviously I'd do that. What the fuck else would I do? There's probably a lot of people that are watching from the sidelines that were from like back home, whatever, they're like, oh, he'll go and get a normal job now. It's like, nah. I'd literally like, I'd rather die than give up on my potential.
The thought of that for me now, like going back to like a 9 to 5 is terrifying. Like I never want to have to experience it. And I don't think I ever will.
I don't think you have to if you've got like big enough balls to back yourself. Like I think that's what it comes down to. Like you just, if you're gonna do it, just fucking like you're gonna figure it out. At the end of the day. I just truly believe that, and like, some people just aren't wired that way. But those that are, I think, ultimately the ones that end up doing it because they believe they could, and they did. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's what it comes down to, being like it's like that cliche term of like a salary being a drug that like just is like a dream killer. Like it like, and it is, because if you want the safety of that salary, everything else is constrained. Like, yeah, to a certain extent, it is constrained, and like it was with me, and like, but now like, and it's even the little things, like when I was working full time, I couldn't get any viewings to go and try and get an office, like, because everyone was doing stuff midweek, and I was obviously working all the time. And it's little things like that where like you then appreciate the freedom, because you're like, I can go and expand the business in ways that like just looking for an office, it's simple, but it's like, it's going to be beneficial.
Yeah. Do you think getting like I guess kind of similar to me, like a taste of like making big money when you're young, because that's ultimately what it is, like you were driving like a McLaren and shit, and I'm a big car guy, so I can relate to that. Like, do you think that is all it's cracked up to be? Because I often say this to people that like, I used to get messages being like, oh, like your life's so perfect or whatever, and particularly when I was probably flexing more on Instagram and shit, but or do you think you just realise that it's all about like the pursuit of the next thing?
So it's exactly that. So for me, it's like, people say it to me all the time, like my mates, like from when we were at high school, they think everything's like, if they see like the car stuff, like, oh my god, like you're doing so well, but that's not what I'm focused on. Like you said, that's not like what I look for as like a I don't know the word, like a reward, like we say, like reward mechanism. Like I don't get that out of that. It would be seeing the business grow, or reaching new I'd rather reach a new like revenue milestone with a company than have the car, and sort of like in quote unquote what other people think is like living the dream, because it's not like, when I got that, like so much other stuff was happening, like, and like you said, it's not, I feel like I'm waffling a bit, but it's like, it's not what it, like once you get it, like you realise that, well for me, I thought it hasn't been that hard to get, and I haven't got that sense of like overwhelming that I thought I would have when I've got it. It's
very fleeting, I think.
Yeah, it's become like this was like too easy to get, like it, not to sound like, but it felt like that at the time. It's like this, and yeah, like it's not, for me, it's not like, for me, the money does not make you happy. It's like, it's progress that makes me happy with like the business.
Yeah,
that the money that is like something that I'm really big on, is that like I've been like some of the lowest of my lows when my business was the biggest, like, but if you keep focusing on like the actual like progress of your company, for me anyway, focus on the progress of my company and having that goal, as opposed to like what car I'm driving or what watch I'm wearing, that is more rewarding and more intrinsically benefiting me than driving a flash car. Like now, I don't have a car.
Yeah, neither do I. Yeah. I still want one again, but I actually remember, I think this is such an interesting topic, because probably not that many people at a relatively young age have experienced it and then had that like spiritual awakening or whatever. But I remember driving my green Audi R8 in like May 2020, and this was like peak COVID numbers, everything was great. I remember stopping and being like, why do I feel so empty? And I wrote a note in my phone. I think I've still got it. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what it said, but it was like fuck, and it was shit like living things over material things. Like it was like a bunch of bullet points, and it'll be some shit that I'll probably put in a documentary in like 30 years. But it was like I still think that like cars and stuff are sick, and like it's just fun. But yeah, it's a classic case. You have to have it to realise that it doesn't fill a void.
No, yeah,
you
that's
might think it does.
Yeah, like yes, it's fun. Like I had, like I said, driving Saint-Tropez in that car. It's a time of my life. I was like Saint-Tropez. I was going picking up girls in the car. Like I was I felt on top of the world. Yeah. And at that point, it was brilliant. But then, like, you realise that it's not all, like, yeah, at the time it might be fine, but, like, reflecting back on it now, it's not everything. Like, it's not, you don't need it.
It's a good story though.
Yeah, of course you know. But, like, that's the thing, like, I'm very grateful for having that car, like, it, like, pretty much for the Santa Fe trip, because it was, like, it was insane what all that car was like there. And, like, driving down there, it was an experience, and it was something that, like, I'll never forget. And I always say, like, and this is like how I'm living a bit at the moment in terms of enjoying myself, is like, you can't put a price on your memories, like, and I'm having like a really good time with friends, and we're doing stuff that like is making us happy. And if other people are saying to me at the moment, like, oh, like, I'd have to take a loan out to come out with you and stuff like that, and I don't like hearing that. Like, it's like you're constantly focusing on the financial aspect of it when we're just like, we're not thinking about that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, like,
yeah, I do agree.
Like, people are constantly like trying to, anything that, like, I feel like I'm doing a lot at the moment, like, even just going on holiday, like I went to Paris like a few times, like, so with the Crep Chief lads, like, they we went last week, and then I went with the NFT guys, one of the Crep Chief lads. Brad messaged me from Crep Chief on Thursday, put flight tomorrow, ? I was like, I'm in. It's fashion week.
Yeah.
Like,
I went to fashion week too.
Yeah. And then it was like, yeah, like, but then people messaging me, like, and like, they sort of like bring it, like, I feel like I get a lot of like negative, like, they talk about my experiences negatively because they just focus it on money. They're not saying like, you look like you're really happy, you look like you enjoy yourself. It's like, fucking hell, how much money are you spending? Yeah. It's like, that's not what this is about. Like, it's not that. And
yeah, I completely agree. Like, I think there's a bigger point there. Like, you get the whole, I've never ever agreed with the whole hustle till you're 40 then live like mentality. No. Which is kind of like, was a bit more pushed by like Gary Vee and shit like a few years ago. I think it's kind of changed a little bit on that, because I've always, I tweeted about this with our studies and Twitter loads, because the organic reach is mad. But I was like, yeah, it's about, I think you can build something great, like a proper business, but still like make mad memories and like travel to sick places.
Yeah,
and that's why I went to like Brazil for like 10 days with like 3 days notice. Yeah, it's just crooked.
And that's what it's about.
It's mad stories.
Yeah.
And I still, obviously I'm not doing that all the time. It's probably like 80-20, but, or 90-10 more realistically. Yeah. But I've always lived like that, like the past few years. Like, I guess even when shit was like really, I guess in my mind, like rock bottom, I was still like traveling and shit. So I guess it was never that bad. But for me, like, yeah, I couldn't imagine thinking, oh, like I'm going to, I don't know, I get to where I want financially, say, quicker if I don't do any of that, if I don't ever party, if I don't ever speak to girls, all this shit. Like, I just don't subscribe to that. Yeah, like, because I could fucking get cancer tomorrow.
So this is it. So like, I had like in my family, we had like a serial number of events that like happened, like where, so many people's in my family's life changed like overnight, like, and then from that like day on, like my mum and dad then became like so supportive of me. Like, they were just like, just do it, like because you don't know what's gonna happen. Like, so like, and that it's like seeing someone who's like in your family, like the picture of health deteriorate over like so the short term, like so rapidly. Like, it's like, fuck, like this can be taken away at any time. It's like, and then this is what annoys me. It's like, people are like, yeah, you're being stupid with your money. Like, why are you getting a car?
Yeah,
save your money. That. Like, you why are you doing this? And it's like, yeah, because we live once. Like, we live once. Like, and if I want to be 20 and if I want to enjoy myself, like, for every stupid, like what you would, some people would class as stupid, let's say getting a car.
Yeah, I've had that a billion times.
I'm for every sort of cliche stupid decision, I'm also investing in something. I'm making a smart decision.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing something that will protect me for my future, but I'm also then enjoying myself at the same time.
Yeah, it's getting that balance right, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like,
because we don't need to be like a squirrel, like just burying all our money. Like,
I honestly think like if I died tomorrow, for the amount of years I've lived, I'd be pretty fucking satisfied. Like, I've done some mad shit, and I reflect on this sometimes when I'm on like flights. Like, I was on a 12-hour flight to Brazil, fucking off my head and like red wine and champagne and shit, which is what I always do on flights. But I always reflect on this shit because you don't have internet on the plane, or at least I never get on the Wi-Fi or whatever, and I just think, and like write notes and shit. And I was just like, yeah, fuck. Like, there's been some ups and downs, but it's been a pretty mad ride. Yeah. Given like I came from like a normal family and shit, was never given anything.
Yeah.
You just fucking make.
Yeah.
But I've always been someone that's like just done shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'll literally go to Australia with 1 day's notice. Like, I've done that before. Yeah. And that's probably just like because I'm a fucking loose cunt at times. But I don't know. I think it's better to live that way. At least that's the way I've always thought. And like I still have like obviously a compass, so I can't be doing that all the time. And like, but it's getting that balance right. And I just think a lot of people, sadly, will probably get to 30, 40, maybe they'll fucking die, and then they haven't. And it's not even about, granted, you need money to do certain things, but like, just even like, I don't know, starting recording that album they wanted to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Which on that note, I need to start releasing freestyles because I've been saying that for months. But like, yeah, I just think a lot of people are shaped by society instead of what they want to do. Yeah. And it's so freeing when you just fucking start doing what you want to do and being who you are instead of trying to fit a mold.
I can only imagine like for this being so new to me, like because I reflect on it so heavily, and it's only been like a year of my life pretty much that's changed. Like let's say like this time last year, I didn't have the car, I didn't have like anything, like I was still living the same. So like for me, it's all happened like very quickly, and it's like I still reflect like and think like, fuck, like I didn't think that life could be this crazy, like this could happen. And it's like for you, this has been ongoing, hasn't it? And it's
I guess since I was like 21,
magnified.
2021. Yeah, it's always been. I've never been in the rat race ever. And I never will. I have to be dead or incapacitated.
I love the confidence of it, like because like you know, don't you? You back yourself enough to know.
Yeah, and it's not even. A lot of people say that's arrogance, or whatever, but like it's genuinely comes from I know I'm good enough because I've spent years building skills. Like it's just a fact. Like I just put me in a room and a laptop and I'll build something.
Yeah.
Like no matter the circumstances, and it's just experience. Yeah, and a lot of bad experiences and hard experiences and network and everything I said before.
Yeah.
I just think like fuck, if I can't make this next one work, then like who can?
Yeah.
I honestly think that it's like. I don't know. Yeah, it's just like it's the shit I think about late at night. And I think if you still back yourself after taking like a big L, like I did, then you know it's real.
It's
like that Drake line. Yeah, you are who you think you are, or something.
Yeah, I know.
You know it's real when like, you are who you think you are. So.
Like it's 100% commitment in it. Like because it could have been like if that happened to a lot of people, they would have definitely just reverted to the 9 to 5. Because they would have felt like they can't risk it that happening again. Like, but if you like view it as like,
I get shivers when I think about this. Because I would genuinely rather die.
Yeah.
Not than have a 9 to 5. I mean, than pursue my potential.
Yeah.
I just mean that from the core of my being. And I think if you don't feel that way, like true entrepreneurship probably isn't for you.
Yeah.
And like, I just know who I am.
Yeah.
And like, it just. Something's coming. You have to think that way, I think. And yeah, it's kind of deep. It's just the fucking game, isn't it? Like
it's all part of the game.
Yeah,
it's what keeps exciting.
Keep playing, keep building shit. Yeah, fuck. Do you think you've lost friends by like leaving? Because I guess you, again, like spent a few years in the corporate world, which I never did. So all my mates have always been entrepreneurs and shit. I guess like my new mates. Like, how was that? Do you find people like resentful towards you?
What?
Because I guess your Instagram and shit is quite flash.
Yeah.
And mine used to be more like that. I was kind of turning it down a little bit.
So.
Or do you think you just naturally lose friends and make different ones and different connections?
Yeah, like I'll be like. Totally honest with you, like when I was at uni, I didn't like because I got to a point where I was like focused on my studies. I didn't have a lot of mates. Like I was like, I think I had like 4 close mates, and then that probably right now is at 3 that I only speak to 2 of them from uni. So it's like I've got so I've got two small mates at like a small circle there from uni, and then like high school, I've got two mates from high school still speak to, and then obviously we've got the Crep Chief lads, but they're in the same circle, so it doesn't really count. But the rest of it, like, I think we've experienced people being like resentful, and like we hear like the comments and stuff all the time, and it's like I had to learn from those guys. Like I like learned from like the Crep Chief guys that like you just can't take it on because because they started to experience it earlier than me.
Yeah.
They then sort of like reassured me through it, because as soon as people like, it was even like members of like aftermarket, if they started to find out like that I had a nice car, we start to get hate for it, and like it's sort of like like you have to learn how to deal with it. But my mates, in terms of my close mates, are fully supportive. Like the ones that I've kept from high school and uni, they like love it and they thrive off it, and that's why they're going to do well as well.
Yeah.
Because they don't see that jealousy. It's not like that, and that's when like I feel like if you've got that mindset of like you can celebrate other people's successes and you're not going to get envious to a degree where you're going to start being negative about them, that is when you know you're on the right path as well. Like, because as soon as you start like being envious and hating on someone for being successful, that's when you know that, like for me, I think that is when you're spinning your wheels and you're not progressing yourself, and you're just hating on the fact that you're watching someone progress and you know that you're essentially not, and that you're stuck.
Agreed. What do you think the hardest thing's been, going from like stability to, well, not stability, but I guess like more normal job to balls deep into entrepreneurialism?
It's probably what we touched on before. It's more so the utilising my time as effectively as I could be. Like that's the big one that I need to learn how to do. I feel like at the start when I launched Aftermarket, I was, so like in them 6 weeks when I last started it, I was working on it around the clock with like I was working with a guy from like the US for my website. There's a guy from Singapore for like some of our software development. So I was up like all the time.
Yeah.
And I loved that. But then once it all got set up, once all the stuff got put in, and then it starts ticking over, and it's like it's smooth sailing now. Like it's like, so then now I need to know how to utilize my time to keep it growing now that it's set up. It's like hard for me to explain because I struggle with it. I struggle, but I guess that's what I'm gonna have to learn with time.
Yeah. What's your vision for the next like 5 years, I guess, personally, and with the business? Do you think that far ahead?
I think in our industry it's quite hard to think that far ahead because let's say stuff like the PS5s, they came up out of nowhere and everyone had to adapt. Like, but for us there's always going to be another wave. So it's like, what's the next hype? What's the next product going to be? So we've got to remain like adaptable to that. But in terms of like actual milestones for the company, like I want to take Aftermarket to like, I'd be happy with Aftermarket being a point of like around about 3,000 members. I'd be happy with. Right now we're sitting at about 1,200. The peak we've been at is 1,400. If we could take it to that, we'd be sweet. And then I want to set up more companies. Like I want to get into something. So I'd love to get into something that isn't software as a service. Like I want to get something that, like, I was like really passionate about the food industry. Like I wouldn't mind having a dabble with like a restaurant or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, like it's like something that is a little bit more predictable. Because with us, like I feel like you're firing ads out and you don't really know if someone's going to buy it at your ad and sign up. But like if you've got a restaurant and you know it's good, you know people come through the door.
Yeah,
like
it's somewhat evergreen.
Yeah,
if it's good.
It's like, I feel like it's, yeah, like I want something that is a little bit more stable. And like I tried going into property. The first one I bought, like it fell through recently, but it's like for me now, it's not even worth putting money into property for me right now. Like
I agree.
because like
focus on a business.
Yeah, and it's like, so like I put so I'd put like 50, I think it was 15 grand deposit down on this flat, and at the same time I bought an NFT, $30,000. That NFT right now is worth like $80,000, and the 15,000, like, what's that worth? It's worth the exact same. Like, if I bought the property, it would be worth like pretty much exactly the same. Like, it's sort of like there's better ways I can utilize my money right now, and like sort of expand what I'm doing, because I want to like I said, like I want to get to a point where like my kids don't have to work. Like, well, no, I want them to work, but like I want to be like, if I want to feel comfortable. That was like, if I wanted to provide for you, like you wouldn't have to work if you didn't need to. And then I want like, and then grandkids, like that's a big one for me. So yeah, it's sort of just focusing on the companies now. We'll take the NFT group from, we're at about 400 members. I'd be happy taking that up to 1,000, because we charge more on that. Margins are a lot better on that as well. Sort of, yeah, and then grow the Amazon business. Like that's the new one for us. That's the one that's like, for me, like, yeah, like that's I need to be careful what I'm going to say on that, but I want to be like, I think that we can do really well in the Amazon space. Like the guys we've got on our team right now are excellent, and for me that's the one that is going to potentially future-proof us going forward. Yeah,
sick. Alright, I guess to wrap things up, because I've got to fucking go for dinner in like 45 minutes. We've already done an hour and a half, to be fair. I always ask the same question. We've probably gone forever. If you give 3 bits of advice to yourself, I guess I usually say when you started the business, but maybe for you, probably like 7 years ago when you got into like reselling and just started being fucking interested in shit.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Knowing what you know now. 3 pieces.
3 bits of advice to yourself at whatever age you were then.
Okay, so
like just about life as well, just broadly, business, life, anything.
So I think the first one would 100% be like back myself more, like, and actually have that belief that like if I've got that little idea in my head, if that spark goes off, like pursue it and see where it goes. Like explore your curiosity. Like if you've got a passion, then there's no point, like we'll go back to this, not dress rehearsal. Like if you've got a passion, why not explore it, like, and see what you can make out of it? Because you only, like I said, you only get one life. So do you want to do it doing a job that you're not going to enjoy, or do you want to try and live the best life you possibly can? And that's, you're probably going to live that best life if you're pursuing your passion, what you're passionate about. I think secondly, it would be learn to switch off more, and sort of like learn how to enjoy myself a little bit more, because it's, for me, I'm doing that now, but it's took years and years and years. Like I said, I was in a relationship for 6 years. When I was at uni,
I didn't even cover that. I tried not to.
When I was at uni, like I literally didn't go out because I was focused on studies and getting a first. Like it's like now I've learned that to really appreciate like life and what we're doing, you've got to wind down and relax a bit.
That's 2.
I think, yeah. I think,
on the spot.
Yeah, I think number 3, I think it's just got to be that, I don't know if it relates too much to my first one, but it's literally, and it's like something that like, I know, I don't know if the Crep Chief lads, if you ask them this, but they might have said it, but it's literally just do it. Like,
I think they said that.
Yeah, like, you've got to like, if you like got something that you're interested in, like as long as you don't like give up with it, like you literally can't fail. Like for me, I was like devastated on the first day of my business when I got 1 sign up. I was like, I've lost here. But if you keep going, like you're only going to come out on top, and that's it. Like, so it's, if you never like they're saying something like, if you never risk losing, you can never actually win in life. Like if you stay at like,
biggest risk is no risk.
Yeah.
Facts.
If you do not risk the loss, you cannot be a winner. Like, and that's like a big one. And I'll say that I've got a better third one now, actually. It would have been to, like, here's another saying where it's like, when it feels like scary to jump, that's when you jump in. Like, for me with my job, like, that's when I should have took the leap a little bit earlier, I think. And trusted myself and backed myself to do it. That's it.
Sick. All right. On that note, we'll wrap it up. That's been an interesting one. I hope it was interesting to watch. I think, it was probably therapeutic for you speaking about it like that.
Yeah, 100%.
Always is. Pods every fucking week as usual. We've been very, very consistent with this. If you're enjoying the pod, subscribe, leave a comment, tell a friend, all that good shit. We are growing pretty consistently, which is nice. Might try and up the production quality the next few episodes. I'm going to hire someone to do this shit, I've decided. But yeah, cheers for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See you in the next episode. Peace.